Hi, my name's Nick with Machine Gun Dad. Welcome back to the channel and to another episode in our field strip series. Today we have a Ultimax 100 Mark II to take apart. Now this is a very fascinating gun because I had no idea this thing existed. Turns out there are very few of them in the country. So why don't we go ahead and learn how to take her apart. Alright, we have moved in close. Now to the first thing you do when messing with any firearm whatsoever is you always show clear. Now, one thing to note about this weapon system is it has a rather strange charging handle because you can't move the bolt backwards or the charging handle or anything until you rotate it, and then the thing can come back. Which is a little odd, but I just needed to make note of that because this is the first gun I've ever seen that's had one of those. And while keeping the charging handle back, just showing that I'm showing clear, there's no magazine, you can see no bullet in the chamber, nothing like that. So, let the bolt back forward. Let us get into field stripping it. So, on the back end of the gun, you will notice this round button right here. There is the exact same thing on the other side. So what you're going to do to remove the buttstock is you're going to push both of these buttons in at the same time to get off the interrupted lugs on these two retaining rods and just pull the whole thing off, simple as. And on the back end of this gun, you will notice there is a plate on the back end. Now, sometimes it's a little stiff, so I like to grab our handy dandy little Allen key, put it into that hole you see on the middle of the plate, pull it down, and there's this button on the side, or a lever, that you are going to pull towards the muzzle in order to have tension pulled off of the plate that I mentioned. So, we are going to pull that back, take our little Allen key, put it into the hole that I mentioned, just barely, because you don't want to stick it too far in, and pull down. And you can see, now that the plate is down, you could just grab onto it, pull it the rest of the way, and from there, we could take our weird little charging handle and pull the entire bolt and recoil spring assembly straight out of the back of the gun. We've got our captive recoil spring, which is always handy because these things are a nightmare when they are not captive. We've got our bolt, fancy little lugs, extractor, all that good stuff. Now, let's get into putting it back together. Alrighty, let's get into reassembly. Now, as I've stated on multiple occasions, it's the same thing but backwards. But there are a few things to note. One of them, namely, is your bolt. If it's in the rearward position, it is not going to go together correctly. You have to make sure that bolt is forward whenever you put it back together, or else your lugs are going to be rotated and it's going to be slamming into the breech. Another thing, you are going to want to keep this whole assembly, you're going to want to keep pressed up against the top of the receiver as much as you can so it can clear everything. Then let's get into the actual reassembly of it. So take the bolt and recoil spring assembly, make sure to keep it pressed up against the top of the receiver, push it through, getting the bolt in, and then you hear that wall, push a little bit harder, push it forward. Now from there, that second wall, when you get the recoil spring halfway through, pull the trigger to drop the sear, and then you can run the rest of it all the way forward. Now there was a click there to say that there. The bolt has now locked into the barrel, so we are going to pull on that lever that we already pulled on to disassemble the thing and just push the plate all the way back forward from the bottom. Then we're going to take the buttstock, pushing these two buttons in again, running the rods into the holes on the side, and then she's all locked down. Alrighty, that is the Ultimax 100 Mark II all fully put back together. Thank you for coming to the channel and watching this episode of our field strip series on this very unique piece that, again, I had no idea even existed. So, thanks for coming to the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Rumble.